Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video we're wrapping up the V3 Boa World Tour. We're taking on the Kid Forest of Training Magnetic. So this is the team we're rocking today. It is led by the sexy girl herself, V3 Boa. V3 Boa's Mellow ability, or Love ability, is insane. 14 turn cooldown for what it does is really good. She's the queen of stall, hands down the queen of stalling. She is a super typing. Her super type does give a 2.5 times attack boost to psi units when we get the auto recovery ability, which directly affects her special, which is just great. It works out really well. She is up to a 5 times captain. She increases the chance of landing on recovery orbs. She makes them matching. You guys will see how amazing that is. I would recommend having recovery boost on your boa. You don't have to have it max, but just having it at level 5 gives an extra 100 recovery per orb, and that is really strong. Next on the team we have V3 Law. V3 Law is a GOAT unit on a Boa team, as Boa is a free spirit and shooter, and because of that you can proc the whole special of Law. He's a 2.25 orb boost, he's at 2.5 to 35 times chain lock. He's just insane. He also has a stupidly strong crewmate ability, which means that every time a free spirit or slasher unit, which this whole team is, uses a special, he gets 1 turn of cooldown. He also provides an extra 300 HP per recovery orb, and with Boa, that's a lot because you get recovery orbs quite a bit. Next on this team we have the super sub that is Sabo Koala. Their switch ability, giving an extra 1.5 times color affinity to free spirit cerebral characters, is incredibly handy, as this whole team is free spirit. Now, they also are here purely for their crazy special, which gives a 2.25 attack boost, changes unfavorable and block orbs into matching, and removes that unfavorable debuff, and you'll see why that's important when we get into the run. Next we have Clay, one of the best rare recruits in the entire game. Their switch ability to remove paralysis and then give damage reduction is just... it's so good. It's one of the best switch abilities in the game, honestly, in my opinion, and as a sub it is vital on this team. But they are replaceable, but they are only replaceable if you have someone like the new Robin. Now, if you have the new Robin, you can actually replace this guy here. So the final unit on this team is Usohachi. Usohachi is here to remove the threshold, the damage reduction, and the defense up. He gives a little bit cooldown too, which is quite nice, but it's actually not essential. I guess you could use him against the killer stage, but you'll see how I get around that when we get into the fight. He also has really good sailor abilities, which is just excellent. But if you have Robin, you can replace him with Robin. Then you can use the Bardo support on Robin to remove the paralysis on the Apu stage. And then you can replace Clay with another psi unit that can give you guys another buff, or that'll make the run quicker, basically. But not overly essential, as this team just has the damage. Now, supports are fairly important on this team. You want to sort of run as many attack boosting supports as you can, but as you can see on our Law and Sabo Koala, we have Halloween, Ace, and Coruscant. Now, they're there to remove the bind, but you don't actually need them, as you can use the Clay special to remove bind as well. But if you do that when you get on the Big Mom stage, you need to make sure that Clay doesn't get binded, but you guys will see, as I mentioned, when we get to that stage as well. The final thing we're going to talk about before we get into the run is this ship, the Liberal Hind. If you guys have 30 gems, you need to buy this ship. Reduces cooldown by 1 turn, recovery by 500 for your captain, heals 1,000 at the end of turn. If you're a free spirit, slasher, or cerebral captain, you get a 1.6 times boost to your entire crew, and then a 1.1 times on top of that if you're entirely psi. Now, we're not entirely psi, but it has a special that reduces psi characters' special by 1 turn, which is nuts. The fact your ship can give you cooldown is crazy. So that's the team, guys. That's enough said about the team. Let's hop in. Let's see how the team performs. Alright, so here we are in the forest at stage 11, and we are at Apu. So basically the start of this forest up until this point is just fodder, I guess. So when you get to Apu, he puts up 1 turn of paralysis to your entire crew, and he gives you a slot seal of 1 turn every single turn. So we are going to use the switch ability of Clay here. That is going to remove the paralysis, but as I mentioned, if you have Robin on this team instead of Usohachi, you can add Bardo support to remove that paralysis and then kill Apu. He does a bit of damage every turn, but honestly, it's not super significant, as you can just use the Boa special for auto heal. Like, it's fine. Once you get to stage 12 is when it actually starts getting a little bit tricky. You come up against Beej, and Grotti, and I can't remember Virgo. Is it Virgo? No, not Virgo. Vito. Vito, that's his name. Yes. So these guys are all int units, which is great for us. They put up 10 turns of Rainbow Shield and 10 turns of Threshold. Basically, on turn 1, you just want to make sure you guys kill Beach. So we're going to use our Law Special here for an Orb boost and a Chain Lock, and then use Sabo Koala for an attack boost. We just want to make sure we take out Beach, and if we can take out Vito at the same time, it's going to help us out quite a bit. Make sure you guys use Law first, that way you get the cooldown. He has an amazing special Sailor ability that gives cooldown every time a free spirit or slasher unit uses a special. So that way you just get a little bit of extra cooldown on your Law unit. Not essential, but it just gets you guys in good habits when you are moving forward through future content if you are using a team like this. Over the 2 turns, you can take all 3 of them out, but as I mentioned, you do want to kill Beach first, and then make sure you kill the other 2 before the second turn. On to the next stage now, we come up against your Rogue. Now, your Rogue has 5 turns of defense up, which is fairly annoying. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to take a shot from your Rogue, and then use the special of Boa for the Mero Mero ability. What that's going to do is it's going to put up that 15 hit barrier or 15 hit counter against your Rogue, so we can stall here. So make sure you use the switch ability Evenclade too, because you don't want to die against your Rogue. He does hit us pretty hard as he gives himself an attack up before he attacks. So as you guys can see here, we put up the Mero Mero ability. It's going to give us cooldown for the 2 units of Sabo Koala and Law, and then we can sort of just stall out that defense up. Now, the downside to the Mero Mero abilities, we can only do a 4-turn hit, and unfortunately with the 15 turns, we are going to break that before the defense up. But we can, with the switch ability of Invinclay, actually tank another shot from your Rogue, which helps out quite a lot on this particular team. Your Rogue also does a HP cut before he attacks as well. So honestly, looking at this, like, Invinclay may be essential to this particular team. Once that defense up's gone, we can use the switch ability of Sabo Koala, and once again we can use the Law Special. Law Special allows us to output so much goddamn damage, it's not even funny. As you saw there, we just killed your Rogue with 3 units, and they weren't even Psy units. Once we move on to the next stage now, we come up against 2 of Kid's crew. I do not know their names, and I have done this forest, I think, with 4 or 5 different teams. I'm not looking them up. I don't care what their names are. I call them the Fire Breather and the Beetle Man. The Beetle Man has a int shield, where the Fire Breather has a red shield. So because we're rocking a Psy team, we actually get int orbs, and that way we can break the barrier of the Beetle guy and kill him with normal attacks. Once we take him out and we leave the Fire Breather, we are going to do a little bit of stalling. So on this particular stage, we are just going to take our time and take out the Fire Breather guys. So as you can see here, I am just sort of taking through all of my orbs, just looking for recovery orbs, and as you can see, we actually get special blinded at the start of this stage too. I think our top row and our middle row got special rollback as well, which is fairly annoying, but we can actually stall on this guy for a significant amount of time, as the orb barrier is going to go away in a second. But once that orb barrier does go away, he does give a 99 turn debuff that makes every orb unmatching. So if you don't have Sabo Koala, you do need to stall on the Beetle guy. He also gives us 5 turns of burn, I think on the second turn, I'm pretty sure it was. So just be mindful of that when you are attacking him. But basically on this guy here, we do want to stall out until we get our Sabo Koala special back. So on the next turn, we are going to use Sabo Koala special. That's going to remove the 99 turns of all colors unmatching, and then the stalling will begin. So right now, as you guys can see, we've got our Sabo Koala special. If you want to as well, actually, you can actually use the Boa special just to make this a little bit quicker. It doesn't really matter, as you do have to stall out for Sabo Koala special back anyway, so you will get Boa special back. I sort of realized that when I was editing this video, so that kind of helps out quite a bit. You can use the Boa special or the other Boa special as well to get some auto heal, and if you want to, you could use Invinclay special as well. But with the amount of recovery orbs that Boa provides, you can actually get quite a lot of healing there as well. Just make sure you don't do too much damage to him, as you do need to stall out that sort of like 10 turns for Sabo Koala's special. Otherwise, you can use Boa's sort of specials to get it back as well, but you do want to hang on to a Boa special, because when we get to the next stage, we are going to need it. We're actually going to need both of them, but again, it's not overly essential, as there is another way around this stage. Again, I realized that while I was editing, but when I was doing the forest at the time, I didn't overly notice it. So once you get down to a 2-turn cooldown with Sabo Koala, or once you get down to a 1 turn, depending on where your boas are at too, you can take him out. On the next stage, we come up against Killer. Killer has a counter mechanic which is incredibly high, so you don't want to hit him and you don't want to cop that counter mechanic, otherwise he will kill you. He puts up 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, and on this particular stage, if you really want to, you can actually use Usohachi special. Usohachi is going to give a delay, and it works really, really well against Killer. Now, what I did on this particular stage is I actually was just utilizing the Queen of Stall, and I used the Mero Mero ability. So if you haven't used Boa's specials on the previous stage to make it a bit quicker for you, you can just use Usohachi. Now, Usohachi, as I mentioned, is going to remove that Rainbow Shield, give you 2 turns of delay, and then give you 3 turns to take out Killer. And honestly, looking back at this, is probably way smarter. But if you do it this way, it'll work as well. You can just use the Boa special to give the 15 counter timing, and then use the next Boa special to stall out that Rainbow Shield. Once that Rainbow Shield gone, make sure you switch into Invinkov, and then switch with your Saber Koala for color affinity, and then with your color affinity you can take out Killer. With this team, we just have the damage, or not really just have the damage, we have plenty of damage actually now I'm looking at it to take out Killer, and then we can move on to the next stage against Big Mom. Going into the Big Mom stage, she is an int unit who binds 2 random characters by 5 turns. Once she binds your units, you can use the Invin Clay special to remove that. She also gives block orbs, but as you saw on my particular team, I do have the supports of Halloween Ace and Corazon. Now, if you don't have them, that's fine. Just use Invin Clay special. That'll work too. Just make sure they're not binded. We're going to use Sabo Koala here, the switch ability, to give the color affinity and their amazing attack boost, as we are all 3 spirits. And with that and our Sire units, we can kill Big Mom easy claps. Moving on to stage 17 now. This is where things start to get a little bit longer. Once we get to stage 17, we come up against Hawkins, Page 1, and X-Drake. Hawkins, Page 1, and X-Drake give us 3 turns of remove sound effects. They are a bunch of dex units, and they put up 2 turns of defense ups, which turns into a 1 turn. So we do need to remove that defense up, and if you use an attack buff on this stage, they cuck you. It's just GG, so don't use attack buffs. So on this turn, we are going to use our Law Special. Use Law Special first, that way you can get extra cooldowns. We can use the super typing of Boa for an attack boost, and then use Usohachi to remove the defense up. Once the defense up's gone, we can use the Liberal Hind Ship. Use the Liberal Hind Ship, honestly, whenever you can. It just gives extra cooldown. And the idea of this is we want to do as much damage to Hawkins as possible. Now, if you guys hit perfects, awesome, but just make sure you at least hit greats, so that way you are keeping the chain lock, so you can do as much damage to X-Drake as you possibly can, and then kill him on the next turn. So X-Drake does a big death hit after like 3 turns, and Page 1 knocks out a unit for 1 turn. Every single turn, Page 1 will knock out another unit, but he does cap out at 3. So that being said, you can actually stall on Page 1 for a very long time with this particular team. So now is where the stall actually kicks in. So we're going to fast forward here, just because I am making you guys sit through this. I think it took me about 27 minutes to beat this, especially because this particular stage took me a fair while to get around. Now, you are pretty much indestructible in this stage. Feel free to just drop Boa specials whenever you need to for the heal. You can use the Invinkov special or even Clay special whenever you need, and use the Liberal Hind to give yourself cooldowns whenever as well. With the double Boa, as you guys can see, we get quite a lot of recovery orbs. Because of that, we can actually just continuously stall, and even though we lose 3 units every single turn, which pretty much halves our HP pool every time, with the switch ability of Invin Clay, the meat orbs, the healing, not X-Drake, Page 1 does around 8,000, I think it is, and then it's around 6,000 if you have the defense up of Invin Clay. Now, when you move on to the next stage, you just need to make sure that you have Invin Clay's special ready, and that's why you can use Invin Clay's special on the Big Mom stage, because you can stall out on this stage basically forever, really. As long as you guys are using your Boa specials, using your Invin Clay special for healing if need be, and then utilizing any meat orbs you guys get too. So, as you guys can see here, took us a little while. We're down to 61 turns on that normal attacks only, and then we can move on to the King stage. On the King stage, he puts up 3 turns of Rainbow Shield, 3 turns of Threshold, and 6 turns of Gloom, which goes down to 3 with sockets. He also binds our ship special for 4 turns, or ship in general for 4 turns, but it's not the end of the world. On this particular stage, we are going to use our Usohachi special to remove the Rainbow Shield and the Threshold. We are going to use Sabo Koala for an attack boost. We can use Law for a orb boost and chain lock, and then use Invin Clay to remove the Gloom. Ideally, again, you want to use Law first. I've been raving on about this whole video, and I just stuff it up and I use Sabo Koala first, but we have so much damage on this team that King is just not an issue whatsoever. So with all those buffs, we have, I think we had color affinity as well, because we switched with Sabo Koala. Yeah, so we switched with Sabo Koala for color affinity. We have a chain lock, we have an orb boost, we have an attack boost. King, as you see, just doesn't even stand a chance, and he is just going to melt. We also have pinch healing on this team. All of my units are maxed, obviously, in terms of limit break, so pinch healing does help us out quite a bit. When we move on to the second last stage, we come up against Kaido. Now, Kaido is incredibly daunting. He's a big boy, but he's an int unit, which means he's not scary for us. And every single turn, he's going to do, I think, a 10,000 like blast burn hit, which is fairly scary, I guess. But with Boa and her Mero ability, we can use the auto healing of that to just continuously heal back. And with the switch ability of Invinclay, we can actually use damage reduction, which means that I think 10k goes down a little bit to something like 9k, I think it is. And as you guys can see, we get a fair amount of meat orbs. So what we're actually going to do on Kaido is we're actually going to stall out until we get our Law special back, our Sabo Koala special back, and our Invinclay special back. Now, the real essential special you guys want here is the Law special, but I wasn't really trustworthy of the damage, and lucky I wasn't, because I only just had the damage. I really wanted Sabo Koala to be in their final form and Invinclay to be in their dual form as well, so that way we just have that little bit of extra stats to take out Kid on the final stage. On Kaido, he gives a 2-turn special debuff for, I think it's 10 turns, and he puts up 5 turns of burn. That burn is around 25k, and on this team with a no HP buff, it will kill you. Like, straight up, we've got 26,000 HP, you will die. So do not hit your perfects, otherwise you will die. But don't stress, Kaido doesn't do much besides his interrupt every single turn, and after the burn goes away, I think you have 1 turn of no burn, and then he just puts it back. So use your Boa specials to stay alive if need be. Otherwise, you can just rely on meat orbs, as you guys see on this particular team. Each meat orb heals us for like 5k, which is incredibly high. Like, it's ridiculously high. We have a normal attacks only debuff, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. It's not terrible on this team, as we're not relying on that, but it's a good indication of where we're at and how much stalling we've done. We've stalled for 48 turns now since we got that particular debuff. But as I mentioned, guys, you do have a burn. As you can see here, the burn is gone, and once it goes, you can try and do as much damage to Kaido as physically possible. Once you get Sabo Koala, Law's special back, you can move on to the final stage, but I would recommend getting Invinclay and Sabo Koala's special as well, purely for that extra attack buff, because they're dual form, they have that extra attack. But if you have Robin on this team, that extra Psy unit, it is going to help you out quite a bit. What I would recommend doing as well is trying to heal for 10k before you go into the kid stage. If you heal for 10k or above, that will activate Boa's full ability. Now, with this particular run, I didn't. So I don't actually have Boa's full attack boost when I go into the final stage. I only healed for I think around 2,500, so I think I'm only sitting at a 4.25 times Psy boost when I actually take out Kid. So what you want to make sure you do is on the Kaido stage is actually use a Boa special, so you get the end of turn healing moving into the final stage, and with the Liberal Hind, you're going to get that extra 2k, so you're healing for around 11k, moving into the Kid stage, that'll activate Boa and give a 5 times multiplier. Then we can make sure we are our Psy units in Invinclay. We can use the super typing of Boa for the 2.5 times attack. We can switch with Sabo Koala to give the color affinity boost, because that way we can get a little bit of extra damage with Sabo Koala and our Usohachi. We can use the special of Law to give the orbs and the chain lock, and then just with our dual units being dual units with the extra attack, we can hit Kid fairly hard. Now, as I mentioned, I don't have the full captain buff of Boa when I do this, but we still have just over 25 million damage. But I imagine that would be a lot higher if you actually did this properly. So let's have a look at Boa's amazing special. I just wanted to use this purely for the sake of the video. Oh god, she's sexy. Look at her. That framework. Well done, OPTC. So Now that we are on Kid, we need to make sure that we are attacking in the correct order. We want to start with Usahachi to start the chain, hit with Sabo, Koala, Nexus, they're getting a lower multiply from our captain, then hit with Invinclay, our friend Boa as they have no support, then Law, and then finish it off with our Boa unit, and see you later, Kid. And as you guys can see, 25.2 mil, just enough damage to take out Kid. Don't worry about the burn 2. Just kill Kid. So there you guys go. That was my V3 Boa team taking on the Magnetic Forest. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to hit that like button if you want to stay up to date with more OPTC content I post. Hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the world tour, and I will catch you all in the next one. Lights!